the treatment fund dollars, the 700,000, that's been 700,000 for the last 6 years. Nothing in that is changing at all. We're not asking for any increases again, nothing other than what we're discussing now. It's the same dollar amount, nothing has changed. This handout, oftentimes people ask about what that supplemental budget is actually paying for and what we're doing with it, other than just we tell them it's mental health, substance abuse. Ashley, if you want to talk about the PowerPoint a little bit,
sure.
Run through this here with them that they have. Ashley Delanoy is the psychiatric nurse practitioner that spearheads all of the treatment services stuff that goes on within the facility. Anyone who comes in there, within the first 7 days, they meet with Ashley, and she does a full psychiatric assessment evaluation of them and determines what exactly is they need, the services for them. She makes those recommendations and referrals to the agencies that we contract with or our own in-house therapists that we have. Ashley will make those determinations where they go based on her psychiatric evaluation. The basic difference between, and Ashley can explain this better than I, but how I always say it is, the only difference between Ashley and a psychiatrist is Ashley has to have someone look at 3% of the cases that she has and say, yeah, you're doing that right. That's the only difference.
They don't have to look at it, they just have to sign it.
Yeah, and say that's the only difference. Otherwise, she prescribes the same medications, does the same assessments, the same evaluations, makes the same referrals, and does it for about a third of what a psychiatrist would charge us to do. So, Ashley, you want to?
Sure, we'll run through this. The first slide is just to give you a snapshot of our role in aiding the jail, essentially trying to help with decompressing numbers in any way that we can. So this kind of gives you just a picture, and I put sources on all of the slides so you know where I got this data from, but just to show you the number of beds that we have. When you hear words like capacity, what does that mean? On average are being held out of county. That is just a general information slide. If you flip to the next page, sometimes what I find is that just because I speak this language all day, every day, doesn't mean that everyone does, right? So I just wanted to clarify, like, what is dual diagnosis? What does that even mean? And it's essentially when an individual has a mental illness and a substance use disorder. And I think that it's important to note that 44% of jail inmates have a mental disorder and 63% have a substance use disorder. Again, SAMHSA is my citation or source for this. So what we see when we're dealing with this type of population is this frequent cycling between our jail, the ER, the court system, the hospitals. These individuals are often highly crisis driven, meaning they're not getting a lot of preemptive treatment. They are only seeking treatment when they're in crisis, whether it be a medical crisis or a psychiatric crisis. And then what I find, not only is this supported by actual data, but what I see daily is that these individuals are inconsistently treated, if they are treated at all, prior to incarceration. Probably one of the biggest things I think that we're missing. The next slide talks about the prevalence of mental illness and substance use disorders in county jails. The exact number for Vigo varies depending on the report, but what I was able to find is that we're looking at anywhere between 40 to 70% in similar counties have this population in their jail. Additionally, our overcrowding is not necessarily always driven primarily by violent crimes. What I treat, the majority of these cases are meth cases, some burglary, some assault, but a lot of drugs. So when you are raised in the medical world, you are really, I guess depending on school you go to, you're trained to look at data. We can talk all day about what we think, what we believe, or what we see, but I'm a very facts-based person. I want to see research. I want to see data. I take opinion into account very little. So I am really big on looking at trends. nationally? What are other states doing? What are other work release centers doing? Now, we're not always comparing apples to apples, we know that, right? But from the data that we have been looking at and analyzing, we are really starting to see this shift towards not focusing only on incarceration while they're in community corrections, but really utilizing that opportunity while we have the individual to get them as many services as we can. Because they're doing court time, ordered court time, while they're with us. So why not offer therapy? Why not offer psych meds? Why not offer substance use programming? I won't even go down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of differing opinions on if it's forced or if it's offered, and I'm just gonna be transparent with you. Every defendant gets an assessment. I am honest with every defendant on what they qualify for, based on what they've told me, based on their criminal charges. I do not force a person to do therapy if they tell me they don't want to do therapy. Why? It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of resources, money, until they have that intrinsic motivation, is what it's called in my field. They have to have some. They can't just be doing it because a judge ordered them to. And that's not a popular opinion, but I'm just being transparent with you. That's how I was trained from the psychiatrist that I trained under, Dr. Mahmood at the Hamilton Center. Now, we have hired an in-house therapist. That is huge, you guys. We now have someone seeing these individuals face to face once a week for 60 minutes. It's not all of them because there's only so many hours in a week, but she is able to work on that intrinsic motivation, but something's gotta be there. Like, we have to start with something. Are you following me? Is that making sense? Okay. So really just, we are stepping back and looking at our programs and the services that we offer, and we're saying, okay, what's working and what's not working? Because what we do know is that everybody wants money. Everyone's asking for money, right? And in my opinion, as I've explained to Bill, we've got to prove that what we're doing is actually making a difference. That's what I keep thinking when I watch these council meetings, is all of these programs wanting all of this money. In theory, they are all great ideas. I wish we could give money to all of them. I am actually not saying that every dollar should go to corrections. What I'm saying is everyone should be tracking the impact these dollars are making. Not just coming into a meeting and fluffy talking about how their program runs. So that's what we have started doing. I have listed for you, we've made a lot of changes the last 3 years, a lot. And I've listed all the changes that we've made for you. We now have individuals coming from the jail to us with no insurance, which is understandable, it happens. Within 30 to 45 days, they have full Medicaid because we just got approved in January, thanks to Casey, to get these individuals presumptive Medicaid. That means the day they get to our facility, they have insurance. Huge difference.
A lot of the services,
No, I just have
a lot of the services
lots about percent.
are being
And-
paid for.
And as far as like what we need it for, that allows them to get in with a primary care provider and get established for a PCP appointment to address the cavities in their teeth, the antibiotics that they need. Yes, Vicki.
I mean, that's.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
No, I was, it's astonishing, that's astonishing.
It was an
I've got some who have
absolute
never been
nightmare.
to them.
It's been a nightmare.
We have people that have never been to a doctor in 5 years, 6 years when they get to us. All they've ever done is gone to the emergency room.
And they can refuse medical at jail. They are allowed to do that.
Can they refuse?
They absolutely cannot. We're a different facility, so we fall under different guidelines. So, and this took a while for me to like get adjusted to, but if you don't have an appointment scheduled with a primary care provider within 30 to 45 days, you are going to be talked to by your case manager. It is a requirement,
How long are they there for, minimum?
minimum 6 months.
Animal. But
Yes,
So they're gonna get some help.
there's very few there. So
I have two questions. One is, you said that you got them signed up for insurance, so that it's covered as soon as they come in. What type, have you crunched any numbers to see what type of financial impact that'll have on the county?
We're actively doing it right now.
Our numbers, to interrupt, the numbers that we're crunching right now, we haven't been actually collecting the data as far as the billing and that type of stuff to have a huge impact yet, to really see, but we have started.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, starting January 1, what we brought in. The nuances though, Steve, the wrinkles are still being worked out. For example, the company that we work with is trying to figure out how we bill for the antipsychotic shot I give during an E&M appointment. Does that make sense? And so like they're coming back to me and saying, hey, the $120 fee was denied by Medicaid and they're paying you $12 for the shots that you gave. And I'm going back to them going, that's because you coded it wrong. It needs a 25 modifier on it. And then, does that make sense? So we are not smooth sailing yet, but man, we're on our way. And I'm just, no one else in the state does this.
My follow-up question would be, a little bit ago, you said that you guys hired a therapist.
Yes.
Forgive me, I'm a little bit ignorant to this.
Okay.
I thought that's what you do. I thought
No,
you were-
sir.
What do you do?
I do assessment, diagnosing, treatment planning, most importantly, medication management. I'm the only individual in the building that can prescribe medication. And I did give you figures. Steve and I have had good conversations historically about just flat out giving you the best data that we have access to. So on page 5, this is data you can find online. Daily costs per person in the jail, $138 a day. Daily costs per person at corrections or through corrections programming, $27.40. What? Why? We don't have a medical contract. We don't feed them 3 meals a day. Because, staff, we have fewer staff. I've crunched numbers for you. Actually, Casey did. 555,645 days have been served between the time frame on this slide from 587 individuals plus all of their active cases. I've done the math for you on this slide for you to see the cost difference if these individuals were housed in jail versus if they were housed or managed by corrections. I don't know what our time's looking like.
What's your success rate?
Let's go to page 6, please. Final slide. So you're gonna hear the term recidivism rate used frequently when you're talking incarcerations. And I did put that on the slide for you, but I also gave you more data. There's more that goes into an individual not cycling through the corrections system than just recidivism and what it measures. What I wanted you to know are the number of assessments that are done with myself, a licensed psych specialist. How many individuals per month are taking medicine to keep them off drugs? 35 on average. I'm giving Vivitrol. I'm giving injectable buprenorphine. We don't do oral Suboxone in our facility due to trafficking. These individuals are getting the best of the best, what we call MAT treatment, medication assisted treatment, because they have Medicaid. Medicaid is paying for it. So they're able to get that. It's just a different ballgame than the jail. The jail can't do that. It comes out of their budget.
How many of these folks get qualified for Medicaid?
Casey?
The majority of our population, because when they come out of the Vigo County Jail, they are unemployed, meaning they qualify for Medicaid, Indiana HIP. Thus, that allows us to get them, yes, on Medicaid and get going. However, with recent changes that are coming effective July 1, that's going to be increasingly difficult.
We are seeing individuals employed full-time at McDonald's that are now being told they make too much money for Medicaid. It is a fact, folks. I've been in this field for 7 years and I've never seen anything like what's going on in the last
Year.
year. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
scary. And I am actually,
And we,
we don't,
and these are people working less than 35 hours a week. And they're being, at minimum wage, and they're being told they make too much money.
Job.
it's
Well, most of them
actively
part-time
happening
anyway.
right
Yeah.
now, so we're not exactly sure. What I can tell you, if we take the focus back to how can corrections help with that, is that our case managers still have to work with those patients to either purchase a plan, online, or to pay through their employer. And both options are, highly expensive for these individuals and not great insurance. But I did wanna address your question, Larry, at the end. I wanted you to see how many individuals are utilizing these services. Kind of going back to showing you what we're doing with the money that you have given us.
One of the things that I want to point out, one of the biggest things, since Ashley came on board, if you look at that last slide, our ER calls, and those are just ambulance runs to our building for constant medical issues. They were 139 ER runs from our building to the hospital in 2024. And as you see now, in 2025, in the year of 2025, we reduced that to 79 because of Ashley's presence in our building and monitoring those medications and the treatment of the people. The Terre Haute Fire Department, the EMTs, the ambulance services, and the mayor are all raving about the fact that we've reduced our number of ER runs or emergency runs for them by that amount in about a 2.5 year period. So they say that in itself, the savings to their budget has been astronomical by cutting those runs.
I'm more than happy to clarify anything. I didn't want to run out of time, so we kind of went through it quickly, but
Your last video has only 3 people returned.
Amazing.
Six
Quite
months.
remarkable.
actually amazing. In fact, when Casey told us, I was like my jaw dropped a little.
I asked her to check it twice.
And this, I want to also add, there's a slide in here that says, and I believe we skipped over it, services that we know work, but we can't currently provide. Because I'm not trying to blow smoke up your rear. There are a lot of other things we could and should be doing to have an even greater impact on this population. It's our goal that we get these individuals from the jail to us faster. The amount of time they're sitting over there when they're appropriate for our program makes me sick when I think about it. We need additional therapists. The one we have now, just her licensure certification, gonna start billing for her therapy services. Mr. Ellis, I'm excited to see how the reimbursement goes with that.
How excited he is.
I would love to see exercise worked on. You don't want to get me on that rabbit hole, but it is something that makes me very angry. How can individuals get more ability to move their body in prison than they can in our facilities? When I'm advocating for mental health, how can I, can you put yourself in my shoes for 1 second? They don't get sunlight much. They don't get great food much, and they have to literally be physically active with what they can do in their dorm. To me, that is, you don't have to,
One is, how did you, or what formula did you use to calculate how much it costs per night per individual at your facility,
hours or the jail?
at yours?
Yes. Go ahead.
That's based on our per diem costs. We determine our basically staffing issue costs is what it boils down to, Steve, because all of our other services are paid for or contracted through someone else. Our per diem cost is just the staff, the custody staff.
Follow-up question would be, do we have any current lawsuits for any type of slip and fall or?
No. No,
And traditionally, have there been many, or is this?
I've been there since it opened in
Oh my gosh,
2006.
Steve, why did you?
Since
That's
2000
probably
I
my
agree, but I'm
worst
just trying to-
nightmare.
I mean, that is an expense that we have.
Since
sometimes with the jump,
2006.
Maybe we don't have here, so I'm trying to
Like a
understand.
slip and fall, literally?
No, I'm just saying.
What do you mean?
Where the county may get sued for one reason or another, I'm trying to see what our exposure is here in
From,
this program. Are we getting sued very often for
from
this?
the defendant
Gonna
standpoint,
make me sick.
now you're gonna jinx me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I hope not
Never.
to.
Never.
You make a good point. I carry additional insurance for my license
Mhm.
because of how the litigation in this field. You're exactly right, Steve. We're teasing you, but like, you're thinking along the right lines. The thing that I always think in terms of liability.
Mhm.
Every call that is made to me is ensuring that I can't get in trouble. Does that make sense?
But we have not had a lot of those I'll jinx myself, Steve, we have not had a defendant lawsuit go against the county. There's been some frivolous ones filed and get dismissed, but no. We
Uh-huh.
did as an employee that we settled in federal court for $5,000. They settled for him to go away
Because a lot of times.
on a
what-
slip and fall.
what can happen is I'm on call 24/7. So if a defendant has a concern or a medical concern, I literally can either come to the facility, which I do all the time, or talk to them on the phone. So when you have that kind of relationship with the people in your residential center, they're not a telehealth company, like what we were using before that you can't get a hold of and no one's available until Monday at 8. I mean, these people, I talk to them on the phone. They're my patients. I see them all the time. So I do think that helps. Would cut down that risk of litigation if that's part of what you're talking about.
Sure. Thank you.
And that's been huge to reduce that, Steve, because often for me, my primary concern with everything I do, and they can tell you, every decision I make is based on what's our liability. That's the first thing I ask myself, what's our liability? What's our liability? I refuse a lot of things because being risk adverse about liability, I just say, no, we're not gonna do that because I don't want the liability. Sometimes people think that's harsh, but I work for the county, I represent the county, I want to do what's in their best interest. That's my primary concern.
And
So-
sometimes we have to deny appropriate individuals from jail due to medical reasons, because I am psychiatry only. That is my scope. If we had a family nurse practitioner, that person could treat medical in-house. And we could bill for those services too. Are you following me? But right now, without a medical person in that building, like I am psych, we can't take some of these, the conditions that the jail can accept because of that medical contract. So it's kind of, double-sided.
Yeah, it's bouncy. We've had people that have to go back to jail at $138 a day because of a medical issue that we can't treat in-house because I don't have the person to treat that in-house. Otherwise, they can stay with us for $27 a day. So that happens.
And it's rare, but I
But it
would
does
like that never to happen, I'll manage blood pressure and cholesterol, but if someone's doing self-dialysis, we cannot do that at our facility.
How many beds you got over there? I know,
130.
and they're always full.
Yeah, they're down a little bit right now. But yeah, we're down about 20 right now. But
Thank you.
it's tight and we meet the standards, but it's tight, but we meet the residential guidelines from ACA. So, but otherwise, any more questions about that? I mean, Ashley, Casey does a great job for, we've started focusing harder on our data, and that's Casey's primary function with me is tracking data and reports. Ashley teaches me about mental health and takes care of my own.
Does she help you?
She takes care of my own too. So, and then we go from there.
Take care of
I
him.
try.
His mental health is borderline.
He's a man, he's fine, you know how that goes.
Set up shop over here and we did it all.
Yeah, you got that.
That's
You got that.
fine.
Yeah.
It's not my opinion, that's your statement. Thank you guys, thank you all, and anytime, like,
Nice presentation.
thank you, and you are welcome to have my cell phone number, I'm literally a texter all the time.
We would load you up with so many calls.
She does.
Ah,
She does
She
a
has her, she just graduated.
Try to use their services on the council.
That's what I said. Yeah, it is a great time.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
How's the summer going?
See you, Vicky. On to our next one, Mark.
I'm the only one that has to, do you know how hard it is to wake up every morning when the rest of your house gets to sleep? But listen, I'll take that over sitting in the school drop-off line.
See you go on.
I used to say my grade version of elementary. But now it is the elementary school drop-off and pickup line. Tuck and roll, we gotta go. I love you, but we gotta go. See you, Mark.
Hey, Bill, before you walk out, this may be something, this email just came through. Did you see it?
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk about it if you want. Oh, actually, maybe now's not the time.
Probably not right now.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Right. So, first I want to say a couple things. Vigo County is not in a financial crisis like some folks would lead us to believe. Especially the temperature of the room over the last year or so with debates about schools and whatever it might be. I gave you the opportunity, I've been in 56 of Indiana's 92 counties. I would still put Vigo County in the top 5, maybe top 3 of healthiest counties in the state of Indiana. You guys gave county employees perhaps the highest raise in the state of Indiana over the last 2 or 3 years, which is, we're all incredibly grateful for that, including elected officials. Even with an increase of $6 to $8 million in salaries and benefits and things like that, we're still in incredibly financial shape. Our edit funds, our lit funds, our health funds, all are in great positions. So I hope you guys take that into consideration as you make decisions here over the next couple months of budgets and what people request. As far as the commissioners go, our normal budget, we have just a couple things that we're increasing, some things that are going down. One of those is postage, which in 2026, we asked for $175,000. This year, we're asking for $250,000. That is a $75,000 increase. We did not anticipate the high cost of postage and mail that the new court has in community corrections. That was given to us by the state legislature. They send quite a bit of mail. That is added up over time.
Hey, Ricky, you want to go first so we can get out of here?
To it, I'm already on. Liability insurance, we asked for $775,000 last year. As you go through our packet, you're gonna see that $15,000, that's under our control. All of our insurances continue to go up. Workman's comp, I briefly spoke on last night. We budgeted $470,000 last year. That went down. For 2027, it's $409,000. Legal services, 2026, we asked for $125,000. We're asking for $200,000 in 2027. A lot of that has to do with help from attorneys, not just locally, but for Indianapolis and other areas in navigating the SB1 conversation and new laws coming into effect this July and necessary changes that we're going to have to make because of that and quick conversations. The Humane Society, we have a new animal control officer who is fantastic. We recently met with the Terre Haute Humane Society, the shelter, excuse me. We're all collectively trying to implement some new programs in regards to animals. We'd like to increase that donation from $50,000 to $60,000. City of Terre Haute is also doing the same Contractual services, we're going from 14,000 to 15,000, it's just $1,000 increase. One of the notable costs in there is our AEDs, the cross county buildings, that's costing $9,000. Account 33900, solid waste and sewage disposal, that was adopted in 2026 at $180,000. We're reducing that down by $50,000 to $130,000. 36200, which is rent, adopted in 2026 was $18,000. We're increasing that to $19,200. That has to do with a lease with Bob Thompson for parking across the street from community parking. And the last thing, the Clippers, phone budget is professional services, $200,000. Adopted last year, we're asking for $25,000. Again, navigating conversations around SB1, working with a facility and other consultants that help us with those conversations. Any questions about this thing? Sure.
Switching gears for a second, this is really great.
Just to clarify, would you guys just like me to go over the ones that I'm requesting change to instead of every single line item? Okay. So I'm in general right now. So the line item 21300 is paint, glass, electrical. I'm requesting to move that to $20,000 instead of 17. We've been switching out a lot of the LED panels and LED lighting throughout the county because of the cost of the ballasts and the bulbs. And we'd like to continue to do that. We're just trying to buy a certain amount every year to keep changing. We've done a large area of the annex and already the courthouse as well. We just like to continue to do that as well. We did create line item 24300, miscellaneous line item. I just kind of did a transfer from one other line item to have some money in there. I worked with Judy. She said that would be best for us to do to cover like screws, bolts, all the smaller necessities. So I requested to move that from 2,000 since that was just a transfer to $4,000. Line item 24400 gasoline, I requested to move that up $2,000 from $18,000 to $20,000, just because of the gas increase. We have a couple new vehicles for like the group home. Well, yeah, the group home, we do supply gas. We don't do anything else, but so we do have other vehicles and the increase of gas. I just increased it $2,000. Is it on this page?
No, it's
Oh,
on
yeah, sorry.
Why is the contractual services going down?
I'm sorry.
Why is contractual services going down?
75 when he asked for 75.
No, it was 131,
Is that with the encumbrance?
But that was because with the encumbrance. That's what that middle line is all that 2026 addition, and that's all encumbrances. So
Okay.
that didn't have anything, yeah.
And then the line item 39300 lawn care, I did a 10% increase, just because most of the time it's what the increase is for contractual. So I moved it from 49,100 to 54,010.
Well, then we decided to change it because of rock.
Sorry.
So that's 60,000.
Yeah.
I apologize. So yeah, we are fertilizing the Old Jail location now. And there is some areas that we try to keep up on rock around the courthouse and everywhere else. We'd like to upgrade some of the mulch to the rock. Didn't have enough money in the budget this year to do that. So that was the reason for the increase as well. increases. And then the Q cap, I requested $10,000 raise in there for the 601 3rd Street building, which is the old HWC building. We're doing some work with this year's budget over there already, but would like to do an increase just for future projects in that building as well.
What page is that on?
It's a separate.
Oh.
Yeah, it is separate, sorry.
It's labeled Q.
It's the next page.
Okay, on the left.
What building did you say, Ricky?
It's the 601 building, it's the old HWC building,
Oh,
The old what building?
the old HWC building right across from the juvenile center.
Right.
And moving on to lit. Yeah, I was wondering, I think that I should probably just, well, we did do an increase on 33300 contractual services from $162,000 to $200,000. And that's something that I talked to Judy about as well. Maybe possibly creating a line item for some sort of building repair. It would be nice if there was something, I don't know, Judy, you might be able to answer this. If we had a building repair budget, would I still be able to buy equipment for that jail? Like, if it was labeled building repair?
you'd have to be able to.
Because it's kind of up in the air too, because there's certain times where we have contractors come in and they replace items. Guys replace items.
What we've done, what we have typically been doing is if it's broken down on the invoice and you can see what the labor is, that would be increased areas. And then if it has the price of the equipment, then we could code that as a forward.
Okay,
That's what I
Then
was,
then that capitalizes on the capital outlays too.
Yeah.
Because if you just throw it all into a contractual service agreement, unless people are paying attention like they should be, we're gonna miss it on our capital outlays.
and I've talked to him about that, like the generator and the water meters and all those things need to be reported to her with labor taken out of it, so they can keep track of that.
Yeah, because that was depreciating everything.
so I don't know if I misunderstood. So would the building repair be a 4 series? And then the contractual would be a 3?
Well, the building repair,
It's
no, it would be,
35,400.
if you were,
Okay,
if it's a contractual service, if you're paying someone to do it, it's gonna be a 3.
I got
So
you.
there's it's a threefold. Contractual is to pay somebody, and then the assets, and then building, it's,
So would it be more beneficial just, I mean, in your opinion, to be able to just put because I was gonna request a separate line item for $80,000, that way, I mean, we had the glass at the jail. There's a lot of items there that there's really nowhere else to take money out of, and sometimes it comes out cheap now. Instead of a lit correctional that would be supplying the jail material.
Well,
So-
and we could do a miscellaneous item, which is if you're doing glass now, I mean, that's, small items, it's not something big that needs to be a capital outlay.
Well, I mean, the glass would be, I mean, it's $8,000, so there's not really any small items. Yeah, it was.
I would still say miscellaneous.
Okay. And that would just cover the equipment itself, correct? No contractual, and then,
No contraction.
okay, and I could break it down on the invoice, like you said, I could do contractual and then separate items, okay. So I guess that would be my request then, is to put $80,000 in my miscellaneous to lit to cover any equipment,
How much?
80,000.
Do you know what the miscellaneous line is?
24300. And we still leave contractual at 200,000 or?
I think that would be best, that way I could, substitute what labor I'm using for the equipment if necessary.
Okay.
And then I have an increase on the lawn care for lit, that's 3900. I just did a 10% increase on that one as well, $28,600. Do you need me to explain any of this other stuff, Kenny, as far as?
No, but like the contractual services out of the lit correctional rehab, the juvenile restrooms,
Oh, to add that,
yeah. See, I don't even have the 200,000, I got something messed up. This is out of 1233 you're talking about, right? The 200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause all I put in there was 53,700.
Yeah, because it's usually 162.
Yeah, because yours says 148, 100.
Yeah, that's what I said, this is something,
148, 100.
yeah.
That is juvenile medical. It's not even you.
But it's,
Or is it this one? Oh, no, that one's.
let me see where this is at. Sorry,
You say 148, 1. For juvenile medical.
While we're at a pause for the commissioners, have you guys done any crunching on numbers to see what impact higher fuel prices will have on us as a whole county?
And have you done any number crunching on what fuel prices are doing to our budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
How substantial is it?
That's a whole.
Yeah, it's,
So we do.
right now, we're okay. It just depends on how everything shakes
Right
out.
now, right now it's not horrible.
Yeah, it all depends. Our heavy fuel usage months are coming up for our summertime work, so I gotta see how that hits. I'll probably, right now, we'll probably be coming for a small additional appropriation in the fall to help us get through the end of the year, but
Are most of your vehicles diesel as opposed to gas?
yes, most of ours is diesel. Our pickup trucks and all are gas. The important thing is all of our equipment is diesel, but it's non-fuel tax anyway.
This
But,
feels like a location.
yeah, we're exempt, so we don't pay that, but that means the cost is still going up.
Right.
But, you know what I mean, but it's not, we don't have that fuel tax on top of there, but, yeah, so once we're getting into mowing season, so all our tractors are out, so all of my off-road diesel prices are gonna be going up, that it's delivered to the units. So, yeah, I kinda gotta wait to see what summer looks like and how long this goes on.
So we need to change the
okay, Judy
correctional.
or Devin, so the 1233-44-510 for equipment new on the first lit page, is that, what is that for? Cause it has 32,285. One fund is 60 people using this one fund. Yeah, right there, see, who uses that? Is that Ricky's, cause he needs 3 water heaters, or is Ricky's on
I
this
think
one?
that's jail.
But see, if you look on the next one,
Mhm.
that says reflected in jail. 40,000.
I don't know, Dylan. Can we put them together? Steve, is this one for the jail?
I just had it broken down by classification, so everything that was in this, I pulled over to.
See, cause here's equipment new.
We can move that over back into him if we need to, I'll just put a location on it.
Yeah, just tell us what he needs and we'll write it down, we'll get it on there.
So the 40,000 just needs to be moved into his,
No, it's not 40,000, it is, 210,000.
For the 3
For
water.
3 water heaters.
okay. Gotcha. So I'll just add a location and put it.
Yeah, 44,510 under Ricky's. And you can talk about water heaters and see that.
And then that money wasn't appropriated for someone else, right? 'Cause I never had it.
No.
No,
Oh, okay.
she said that was the jail, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you can talk about the water heaters and we've got the rest of them.
Okay, so that would be the cost of changing out all 3 water heaters at the jail. The current water heaters that we have now, we're having issues every single year with the heat exchangers. The welds have been breaking, they've been covered by warranty every year, we still have to cover labor, of course. And that runs us somewhere around $6,000 to $10,000 for labor per water heater. And at some point, the warrant, and I believe as of right now, I had to work with them a lot this year to be able to cover a majority of the costs of the parts. I think as of right now, the water heaters are out of warranty. So next year we could run into having to cover the whole cost ourselves. If we're gonna do that, instead of replacing heat exchangers in these every single year, we might as well utilize that money to replace them to a different unit and not have to worry about it. I've been dealing with Freytag, Fink and Company out of Indianapolis, BNS, to try to see what the best option was as far as replacing them with something different. And I wish I would have wrote the name of that down. I probably haven't, but I can get you the brand names and some specs on the new water heaters that we were looking at. They will work with all of our controls at the jail. So it's kind of like, I think there are 90-gallon whole tanks on them. So it would be able to replace what's currently there.
And it'll come out of lit correctional rehab because it can only be used, that money can only be used like for jail correctional facilities. So it'll come out of that, it won't come out of the general fund.
On the new units, are there any that not only include warranty for the product, but also for the service to repair it?
On the new water heaters that I'm looking at, that's information I could definitely find out for sure. I would say no, but I could definitely look into that. I know that they've been having issues, and I've actually reached out to other companies that had these same water heaters are having the same issues. It wasn't just Vigo County. And I mean, they are upholding the warranty as far as replacing them, but if we're still gonna continue to cover warranty, then once this unit's out of warranty, we're gonna go way past the $210,000 replacing these heat exchangers every year. They're actually reaching out to different manufacturers to build the heat exchangers for them because they can't get them right. So, and I've had 2 or 3 go down in a year's time. So if you take that times $10,000, and you look at $30,000 a year for repeating this process every year, that's definitely gonna add up for you. Not something I necessarily want to do, but I think it'd be beneficial to save money in the long run.
Sure.
And I could definitely get you some specs on these new water heaters. I mean, I'm more than happy to bring Freytag in and have a meeting with you in regards to what their thoughts are on the new water heaters as well.
Awesome.
And then we also added a capital improvement line out of lit correctional rehab for the juvenile asphalt and the speed bump at the juvenile center. I know we said 601 earlier, but we can't take money out of 601 to asphalt. I mean, yeah, out of lit to asphalt 601. So it's $95,260 to redo the juvenile parking lot and put 2 speed bumps over there.
If you haven't been over there, it's not just asphalt. They would have to take everything out, all the concrete out and haul all the way. It's got, the base is just shot. It's probably, I don't know, at least 40 years old, and it wasn't done well back in the day. And if you ever ran a snowplow across it.
Yeah, that's the first thing I was gonna say.
Or even just people walking, it's terrible trip hazard. They need rebuilt.
Even driving through the location's hard. I mean, it's in bad shape. I'm sorry, what was the amount on that? 95,260.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that was, so the juvenile bathrooms, what was that? That into,
You got that in contractual, but I actually think we need to move that Ricky's location. So it is 53,790, Ricky?
Yes.
Where are you moving it to, Judy?
So we're just gonna,
Just Ricky's location.
Okay.
Under.
Yeah, that's one.
I don't know, we might separate it out.
Well, and that's what I,
Because his contractual for 210 for the.
no, that's equipment new for the water heaters.
No, but he's got 200,000 for contractual.
Oh, yeah, 253.
So I may make a new line item so you can differentiate what's what.
Okay,
The juvenile and the, yeah.
okay. So it wouldn't fall under the contractual, you just make a new line item, correct? Okay.
That way you know, how much do I have left here with it, you know, if we separate them out into two projects. I think
Yeah,
that'd be better.
definitely beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we might.
And then do I need to speak anything on the x-ray machine? Is that?
I'll do it after that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's an extra.
And then the only thing left, is the flooring on some of your good.
Yes, we're good.
Okay. I think that's everything in mind, that's all I see. Anybody have any questions for me?
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will have Freitag put some stuff together on water heaters, Stephen. Pass along to everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go on to the edit budget and I'll do the commissioners stuff, do the edit budget, and Larry can jump up here. And some of these other things.
I'm missing their edit budget item 2.
I think the one that they 1112.
I have an extra copy of some of these.
Oh, we're back to the first.
Yeah.
I've got that.
It's an edit at the top of the term.
We have 2 pages of it.
Yeah.
Page and a half.
Yeah.
no.
Maybe we'll call it, we'll have you come down there when we put this stuff in and make sure everything's works. I think giving it a different line
I
item.
do too, because it's too confusing when you're trying to make sure that the money's spent where it should be.
Yeah, do
I
that
agree.
and put location on.
As long as we can work together.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to specifically address 30900, which is rural transportation system. And West Central, that comes with all the district, which is 31900. They're within about 4 funds of each other. Those are all partnerships with Thrive. They've went up substantially. We have the explanation that we'll provide to you after this. A lot of that has to do with rural transportation, match money for grant opportunities. There's 3 pages of things that team will get for you. And then on the very last line of edit budget, 31801, again, that's all through Thrive. Those are all things we do with them. In contractual services, we're asking for another $100,000. Because, for example, if there's an opportunity that we can apply for next level trails, or there's an opportunity that Larry can apply for grant funding, we have some type of consultant to help us with that. If we deplete our funds throughout the year, later in the year, we have to come back and do some additional appropriation. It gets kind of gray and hairy because we could be 30 to 60 days out requesting that appropriation, if that makes sense. So if we can have that money already there, we can sign a contract and we can get that work rolling on a potential grant opportunity or whatever we might be contractually obligated to. We'd love to have that set coming back for an additional.
Did you say contractual in it,
Yeah, contractual and
which is 150,000,
contractual sources, other, I'm sorry, 33310.
where we have 250,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Larry, do you want to touch on French Drive? Oh, hold on. Riverfront development. Traditionally, over the years prior to us being commissioners, we did give $50,000, sometimes more than that. Last year it was reduced down to $25,000 because that was kind of what they had requested. The commissioners are requesting to come back to $50,000. So
Good morning. So I will go through some of the larger line items here in the edit. The French Drive is the first one. I guess let me first back up. I'll start with the 4 series. The MPD stormwater line item that we have there is traditionally been $10,000. It asked for an increase of $50,000, and that is due to the fact that our MS4 program is a partnership for our region, for our county, includes the city, the universities, West Tahoe, Riley, Sealyville, anybody incorporated in that. There are some changes that are going to be occurring with that, and we have to redo our plans for that program. And that additional fee, we have a new fee schedule for that. The city and county are paying for the majority of those funds. So traditionally, it's been about $10,000. We haven't used much over the last 3 or 4 years, but with this new program, that is going to go up to about $45,000. So I have $50,000 there as a placeholder to make sure that we have that covered. That's primarily to pay consultant Christopher Burke Engineering as part of our partnership for this program, for our MS4 program. Excuse me. Recreational trails, we still ask, we put $500,000 in that. We're doing, I think, some good work across the county with that. Predominantly the funds this year went towards the match for the Next Level Trails grant, and to work around Great Park in partnership with the city, and they will continue to work on the phase out towards Riley. So that is where that money was obligated this year, and we'd like to continue that momentum to go next year to keep working on trails in our community. Economic Development Local Road Street combined roadway project a few years ago, so roadway projects still requesting the $500,000. That's for any kind of roadway work that we do. That kind of supplements what we do with MVH in our paving schedule. French Drive, I'm asking for $3.5 million in here. This is predominantly due to a bridge that's been on the books for quite some time now, for about 15 years that I'm aware of. This is Bridge 77, which is an iron pony truss bridge just west of Prairie Creek Park. We were hoping to get that on the federal aid route schedule, but things just keep coming up. Higher priority projects come up on the MPO side that obligate that funds. It's been sitting there since 2017, and with no funding forecasted in the foreseeable future, which would be the next 5 to 10 years. So we don't feel it's something that needs to set any longer. It's something we need to do. So back approximately $3 million of that is for that bridge replacement. That bridge is a historically select bridge, which means we can't just demolish it and get rid of it. Federal highway says that we have to somehow utilize it in some form or fashion. And that basically boils down to taking it out, rehabbing it, and then reusing it somewhere else. So the current plan right now is to reuse it. I'm working with Adam Parks Department to reuse it at Prairie Creek Park as a walkway across a portion of the pond there. So we will take that bridge out, rehab that, move it to that location, install it there, and then build a new structure there. So that's why that bridge is so expensive, because it is on a historically select register. The additional $500,000, approximately $500,000, will be for resurfacing of that corridor from State Road 63 all the way to US 41. This is another one of our road segments. It's kind of taken a beating over the last couple of years. Did not use it as a detour, a local detour for some of the bridges that were shut down on 246. So that is something that we will look at in the future to get that all paid. We want to make sure all that work's done before we do that. But that's also one that we could throw into community crossings
eligible for that. So I kind of have it in here, but also have potentially applied for a community crossing. So if that's the case, we would use that full 3.5. We would use that other revenue to pay for that. So, but summary of it is that 3.5 will cover that French Drive, bridge replacement, and resurfacing from 41 all the way to 63. Move on down Clinton Road. Last year was, or I guess this year is kind of our big year for Clinton Road. This is our match money, and then our set aside for our inspection services for that. So that was $3 million. That project has led. We had a successful bid. Was a little bit cheaper than we anticipated. So we have some funds to flex with there, but 500,000 there we're requesting for next year will predominantly go towards design service contract for the next phase, which would be Hasselberger up to Bud Road. So that's just to continue that corridor project along, much like we did Spring. So in the future, for Clinton Road, we can start design possibly next year for that second phase, roll that into land acquisition. So we would continue to see Clinton Road in the budget for the next probably 4 to 5 years, depending on when we get that scheduled with our NPO for federal funds. Bridge and pipe. Last year we requested $2 million in there, which we used to replacement of the Morris Bridge, Bridge 133. So that will be complete this year. So we just dropped that back down to $500,000. Discussed with council about supplementing our King Bridge fund. So that is what the $500,000 that has for. Last year we had a specific bridge project. Next year we don't have that, so we can drop that back down and work on some of those preservation projects on some of our other bridges. And then I believe that's everything on my side.
Maybe crossing matching.
Oh, yes, community crossings, community crossings, that comes out here as well. We asked for that to be 1.5. They dropped the match down this year to $1 million, but through all of our association, our conference and everything, they anticipate that going up to 1.5 million at the moment. I don't know how the fuel tax holiday affects that. Yeah, we haven't quite heard. So right now, the intent is that community crossings, the match will go back up to 1.5, which it did for very beneficial for us.
US 40 improvements. They're at the top.
Oh,
Yeah, they're at the top.
So US 40 improvements, I've asked for another 500,000 in there. That will be supplement the 2 projects that we have going on. Side note for that, I had a budget line for this year for there's a separate fund for that. That was money that we had got from the state when we took over 40 early. So that $250,000 that's the only cash that's in that account. We will spend that this year. And then with some of those projects, there's 500,000 that was sitting in the budget for this year. We'll supplement some of that. And then the 2 intersections that we're doing is Darwin Road relocation and then the intersection improvement at Thorpe. Both of those are kind of things we're waiting on to make sure the schools were going to stay in the locations they were going to stay before we committed these funds to do this. So that looks like the plan is going to be. So that 500,000 will be for that intersection improvement project out there.
Can you talk about the stormwater?
I talked about stormwater, and then what was the other one that you mentioned, Judy?
You got them.
Yeah.
Got both,
community
okay,
crossings.
yeah, community crossings, okay.
Stormwater for the MS4 program change.
Yes, that's for the changes in the MS4 program.
Bridge Drive is obviously a big project. Prairie Creek Park is wildly successful with camping and people going down there and then kind of put that sticker in the bike park and stuff like that. We have events, Bridge Drive is utilized a lot. So it's a big priority. Talking about for 2 years. I'm gonna go to the Riverboat Fund. Nothing has changed via an interlocal agreement. We still provide $135,000 worth of money to the school corporation for SROs, school resource officers. So anything that comes out there, I will note that Riverboat Fund is the fund where our current casino revenue is coming in to the county treasurer. So that fund continues to grow year over year due to legislation for the county. Going to rainy day. It's my understanding that the rainy day fund hasn't been touched for several years. We have plans for that fund for 2027. We've got estimates for all the things that we're about to present. That fund currently has 1.1 million. We're asking for 1,051,000 of that fund. $950,000 is for carpet for all of our courtrooms. It is extremely nasty. We have bed bug issues and stuff over there. That carpet is just hasn't been replaced in I don't know how long. The new carpet that we're anticipating putting in is a square type carpet where it's individual squares. So as things come about or things need to be replaced, we just take those squares out and replace them with new carpet. The other is a generator, which is right over here to the east of our building. A lot of people call it the juvenile generator, but it operates this building and the juvenile center as well, right? That is the last generator that we own that has not been replaced for several years. It is ancient, it's a dinosaur. I would love to have the engine out of it to rebuild personally, but can't do that. It's antiquated and needs to be replaced. There's also an estimate running back for that as well. And then the roof of the courthouse, that's a big whopper as well. We're currently going back through those quotes again. We've taken the highest quote that we have received and just budgeted for that. We're still having some questions and conversations about the type of roof to put back on the courthouse. And once we get that figured out, it will be substantially less than what we have put in the budget, which is the highest quote we've done so far.
Chris, that's the flat roof, not the.
Yeah, no, no, that's the flat roof on the courthouse. $25,000 in equipment new, that's for a new x-ray machine at the courthouse. We're still having some questions and conversations about whether that's a sheriff's department appropriation or if that's a Vigo County Commissioner's appropriation. It's probably something you guys will want to determine. We'll be happy to do it ourselves, or if the sheriff wants to take on that cost or the purchasing is willing to carry that's making the request. 44,700, which is capital improvement, is the $76,780 that we got a quote from Preferred Construction for the asphalt at the HWC 601 building. That will be basically complete reconstruction as I know. So for better parking, stuff over there.
Is the x-ray machine that's currently there still usable, that you could use it somewhere else, or is it just shot?
Very intermittent is what we have been told, basically.
Yeah, it's operational now, but it's I think the oldest one. So the idea is to kind of buy one for a backup for when it does go bad.
So yeah, that does, deplete that account. I went back 10 years personally and have not seen where anybody has used the rainy day fund for a bunch of time. I think there were some very small appropriations from there.
For some reason, I'm thinking 300,000 at what time for a roof over at the clerks, where the clerks use that building or something.
Oh, the two buildings on 13th Street?
I don't know for sure, but that's what's sticking in my mind.
The roof was more like 60,000, so I don't think it was 350.
Was it?
I can guarantee
It was like
roofing for
a
about
brand new-
60,000.
Okay, the drainage board fund, nothing changes, everything's the same. That's pretty much all we have. I will say again, I sent an email out about Tammy earlier this week. Tammy is a great resource of information. We care about her a lot and what she does daily. We oftentimes find people coming up here just to basically have a conversation, talk about their personal lives and things that Tammy has nothing to do with. Tammy is a resource for the Bureau County Commissioners and very important to us. That's the reason behind that email. Tammy prepared these budget books for us. Spent all day on the floor in there in that room preparing a lot of stuff, and she answers a lot of questions for you folks as well. We care about her immensely, and we're not asking for a raise or anything for her this year. I will tell you, she is the encyclopedia. So just want to reiterate that she does.
We know she does.
Thank you, Tammy.
But if you guys have any questions about anything, we're always available. We're the boring group as far as I'm concerned in county government because it's insurance and stuff like that. Nobody likes to pay that stuff. We are trying to make up for increased health-insurance costs. Unfortunately, some of those costs have to be passed on to employees. We have tried for several years to just eat that, continue to eat that, but it's very difficult to do. So, as you know, Steve, in your private business, and we all know owning our own business, health insurance is the biggest battle, benefits and stuff like that. So, payroll. So,
Hey, with correctional, did you go over electricity, gas, and water?
did they change?
No.
I didn't go over anything that changed.
And then we need to make sure we get the dish put in there. but they're gonna
Oh,
try
that's
to
another thing. So I pulled the
renegotiate.
dish contract, and this dish contract was signed in 22, and it's a 5-year contract. This is not for the inmates. This is for the administration part of the jail.
Really?
That's the way I took it. 56 channel leased HD over coax smart box with an OTA.
This is not for the inmates?
I don't believe so, but I'll check, because it says.
I was just imagining,
I was too.
sports center, you know, with their
So 27 is
I
the
don't know how
last
they
year.
got time to, I don't know how admin do it.
I'm sure it's probably just a projection, they probably just projected.
Yeah,
And I didn't know if that dish, I was thinking last night, after I left, if that dish also provided another resource for them, for information. I was really trying to think about all that.
Well, and they also have to have television for like rec time per some statute, some law, they have to have.
I bet it's for inmates. I can't imagine it's for the staff.
Yeah, so if this was when Lisa was here, that's what I said, I would have to go back and look, but it was signed in 2022.
I think we still need to put that in the budget.
Yeah.
Because it's currently 2027.
Yeah.
But do they have to bring the contract to the commissioners to be signed with that one brought to the?
Yeah.
I signed it.
So you guys would see.
It was April the 29th, 2022 was when it was signed, and it's good for 5 years.
So the next one you guys will see.
That would have been the inmates moved to the jail in May of that year, so it would have been right before.
But I know there is some kind of statute or something that they have to have TV service. So do I, but it takes for it.
If you have any questions about any of the quotes and stuff that we've received, Ricky does a great job getting multiple quotes from.
Yeah, and I've got it.
Larry does as well, so, yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with both of that, for both those statements. If I could just add a couple things about that too, is as you've seen over the last few years, we've tried to do a lot with preventative maintenance. And that's why, and we're trying to do that this year again without going to the general though. And just to let you all know, we didn't talk about this fund, special purpose, the old jail site is complete and we are $900,000 under budget on that.
How
So
much?
that 900,000, and that's what that will be
No.
put back in.
Nice.
And another thing to add too was some of our contractual services, additional funding is hopefully gonna be education sessions for all of us. Utilizing some outside consultants teaching us about the changes that are coming. So I think the commissioners are willing to take on that cost a little bit and supply you guys with information and ourselves. To get the whatever the change is coming on second plan.
We're thankful that you were involved in that, see what you want. And so you can, stuff that we're muddling through, we can bounce off these two. Go team.
Definitely a team effort.
You guys have any more meat for lunch?
Sure.
You may go ahead and
That's
pause
good.
this or stop this until.
He's coming at you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, sir. Are we doing mine or are we gonna wait?
Do you, oh, sorry, I thought you left. So sorry.
You gonna do engineering and all that?
Yeah.
If you want.
Yes, sir. We have 15 minutes.
What are we covering?
Engineering,
A number of them.
Okay, 1 second.
we gotta get that.
Start with engineering first.
Do you wanna start with some of those smaller funds and we can just knock them out real
Let's
quick?
do your engineering first, if that's okay. As small as I can.
Everybody ready? So everything's pretty much the same, with engineering, except for on the salary side, that we talked about this last year. I would like to move my office manager from Highway 1 into my engineering. He handles all my permitting, all the invoicing, and revenue and everything for that, which supports his fund. So I'd like to move her out of MVH and into this fund. We talked about last year, and I thought we approved it, but it didn't get done. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. It just helps me on my MVH side because some of that money is restricted. This isn't. Last year, this fund is funded in part from edit and in part from Cume Bridge and then in part from permit fees. Permit fees over the last couple of years have been what I call substantial. Last year, we took in 296,000. My total budget was 377, so that's significant there. And then this year so far, we've got 121, but I will note that most of our fiber companies are dropping off. Kind of a double-edged sword. It's nice, but I lose that revenue on this side. But it's nice they're not out there tearing my roads up and causing a lot of problems that they don't need to be causing. So the last 2 months they've only been about, May was only $1,200 and April was only $2,400. So I think that's returning to normal, I would think, as far as that. So, the fund is, it does have a little bit of cash balance in there right now that we're just kind of maintaining. We're rolling that and we'll continue to absorb that. In the future, this thing will probably it'll still be funded by those three sources. It'll hold the line and all that, keep that all balanced. So I think that's the only note that I was, the other thing, the only other thing I would like to look at on that is, my permit inspector right now is on a 35-hour work week, and he works very closely with my highway, supervisors and foremen. So I'd like to move him to a 40-hour work week. Not change any scale, but it would also, it would be a salary increase just because it'd be 5 hours a week. But I think we can support that in this fund, and that would give them access to him for the same amount of time that they're there. So
Is he working overtime now?
he doesn't. He's not overtime eligible, so he would get like call outs or emergency situations. He would get comp time, and he would take that off.
Is that Corey?
Not related to this, but you said something a bit ago that caused me to think about it. Did we ever recoup any money from something that, gosh,
I know what you're talking about.
over a year ago, I think it's
It
been.
was the,
Something to Spring Hill Road, you were doing a project
So
there.
we're still working on that. I'm still trying to Frontier Communications. That's what I'm talking about, the delays in Spring Hill. So I've been working with Terry Monson on that. We're not getting much traction from Frontier, which doesn't surprise us. So right now, from time to time, my guys are out replacing culverts or mowing or something like that. We will have damage to Frontier Communications. They will bill us. We haven't paid a bill in 2 years. So sorry. So we're trying to recoup that as much as we can, on that side of that, but,
How much did you owe?
I think it was off the top of my head, I think it was like 300,000 plus. It was like 315, 320, something like that, if I remember correctly. With the delays they frequently cause with that project. So, still looking at that. I mean, I'll talk to Terry about that. I'll bring it up again. We'll see. It might be something we need to file, we need to file suit. Our frustration with that is Frontier's, employees keep rolling over. So we keep dealing with different people. So that's one of the frustrations. And then on the flip side of that, I keep getting bankruptcy notices from Frontier. So I don't think we're gonna get much traction on that. And I haven't heard of anybody getting traction on, recouping some of those fees for utility delays. I got somebody on the state level tell me that I can't sue them, but that's something I'm working with Terry on. But in the meantime, and the frustrating thing for us is like when we go out, if they put a new phone line in or a new fiber or something, they'll take the old one out. And we'll go out, we'll locate and we'll say, okay, there's a fiber line and that's what the marks are. And then we'll take down and find 3 or 4 more fiber marks. Well, that one in the middle is live. How are we supposed to know that? So we have, from time to time, we do incur damages. Sometimes they're out there mowing, they'll bump something or they'll lay the fiber in the ditch, we mow it up, and we said, we're just not paying. So, yeah, we haven't paid a damage ticket from Frontier.
Thanks.
Any other questions on that? I have several other, GIS is just salary. Just one salary is all I have in that. The 9109 is matching grant. I talked about that. I don't know if we need to budget that or not, but if we budget that number, I think we just make 3 million. And then if we get the grant, then we do. If we don't, then it's there. So, and that's just because of the 1.5 match. The US 40 improvements, I spoke about that earlier. That was just that 9330. That is just a fund that was created because we got that money from that 40 relinquishment. So if we spend that down, we'll zero that one out, and that will be done this year. So we won't request anything for this year. And I think that's all my small ones. Where do you want to go next? I got 3 left.
And bridge.
Cume Bridge, okay. Cume Bridge, I paid one employee out of there. Top of that, contractual services with 100,000. That 90,000 there was what the waiver reference was the half of the engineering budget. So that sometimes we don't obligate all that if we don't need it, but it's there. Operating expenses remained at 15,000. Education, counseling, training, I did bump that up to about 5,000. I have been trying to get more training in for the guys, especially my pipe crew and my bridge crew, to make sure they're getting staying times on some of those things. So I bumped that up. I'm not quite sure if I use all that, but we've had 2 training sessions already this spring, where we had the guy, had guys come in from LTAP and do some training. So it just gives us the opportunity to do that. Equipment new. I would like to, this is where I'd like to put in, we were looking at some new boom mowers, which come in, they're quite handy around bridges, clearing all the brush and debris and the grass and everything from around those. Our boom mowers have been something that have been nickel and diming us, and for about the last 2 years. We have 5 of them right now, and at one point this spring, it had 0 out on the road. They were all broke down with different issues. They're all 20-ish years old at the end of their life. It's a piece of equipment that gets barely abused just because of the nature of it. So we are looking at, we did demo a Mower Max, which is a piece of equipment that is specifically designed for boom mowing, not just an arm on the side of a tractor. We have a lot of stability issues with the ones on the side of the tractor. But we're doing some quotes on those, but the quotes right now for the Mower Maxes are $315,000 a piece. I'd like to buy 2, 1 for each unit, and then try to keep in service 2 of the other boom mowers I have, with what we have left. And then get rid of the ones that are not worth working on anymore. So in that case, and I will pass this out for you guys to look at. We got some others to talk about on this on the other side, but this is the equipment plan that I have. 315? What's that? And then here's all the one for. So on this is my highway equipment plan. I did some of these cells, they started at 111. We keep moving through this. The highlighted ones are the ones that are currently on there, and I'll talk about some of those others local road street. Because that's where I predominantly pay for equipment. But at the top there is new equipment line, Key Bridge. I forecasted the budget out of 130,000 for the foreseeable future, at least out to 2031. And then that would be for the boom mowers, which would total 650,000, and that would be something that we would work with local bank on a lease for those to help us manage that budget rather than hold that cash up front. So that would be my proposal for Cambridge, budget 130,000 in there for the next 5 years. And that would cover the payments for those two. Recently, we've already purchased an excavator, 2 excavators, a big one and a small one, out of this account. And those are things we use on our bridge jobs and our ditching projects. So I think this is the next piece of equipment that can come out of this fund. And after that, I think we got to look at probably replacing an excavator in the future. The equipment is something that is out there. I'd like to get out of the repair business and into the work business, strictly into the work business. So this is just another step in that process. And then we'll talk more about this schedule when I get to work. The only other thing I got on there is bridge and pipe placement rehab. It's only bridge and pipe maintenance, and my design services and things. Okay, out of that line, I have to keep that at 600,000. That gives me a total budget of about $1 million. We did allow for a slight increase if that's given what was said, but that would leave, running down through the numbers, with this year's revenue versus what's projected to be collected in tax this year. At the end of 27, after this budget, would still have a cash balance of $830,000. We have been trying to prop this budget up because it did have close to a 0 cash balance here a few years ago. We've been trying to rebuild that, and the intent is to rebuild that, and then we have a couple of years we do maintenance, preservation, and then we'll have another bridge replacement, which will $1.5 to $2 million range. Eats that cash balance up pretty quick.
Local road and street.
Yep. Any questions on Key Bridge? Okay. Move on to local road street. So local road street, I do have a plan for something down here. The big change in this one is the equipment new. Historically, I've tried to keep it around 400 to 450. I'm asking for 600,000 next year. However, I am going to drop down road striping and road signs, 75 a piece, which will soften that a little bit. Road salt, we did increase to 250 last year. I'd like to maintain that because of the winter we had last year depleted some of our surplus that we have in that category. Everything else would stay the same, except for repair equipment. It bumped that 25,000, and that was for just some of those repairs. We kind of almost ran out of funds the last couple of years towards the end of the year for repair equipment, trying to save half go ask for that money at the end of the year. So back to the equipment plan, the 600,000. The main reason for that is we have a cabin chassis for our highway truck, or for a sign truck, and we need to pay to have that upfitted. We got several quotes, and the cheapest quote we found for a truck bed, which would include a man lift, a crane, a few toolboxes, and a stainless steel deck, is 220,000. So that's kind of sticker shock, but that seems to be the way equipment is going nowadays, which is frustrating, but
to say the least. But with our payments that we have, so I mentioned Key Bridge, we had excavator and backhoe, we had a lease payment that dropped off with our last payment this year. We have the Class 6 trucks that we're maintaining lease payments at $225,310 that would be on next year's. The loaders that we purchased a few years ago, their final payment is next year as well, which kind of is the overlap and why I'm requesting an additional, $200,000 in that fund this year, is to help cover that overlap. That sign truck, we have that cab and chassis, we want to get that remanned so we can get that out on the road. We can then get rid of our other truck. So we also continue to sell some of our other equipment through gov deals, which will then be put into this fund, but we're kind of hanging on to see what we got as far as what's going on right now, what we can liquidate at the end of the year. Any questions on that?
I like your plan.
I do too, I like color coding.
You don't have to worry about him, he's got.
I will admit, I had to make the font a little bit bigger, so.
But it's nice to know when that stuff falls off for you, then you can
Yes,
pick up.
yeah, that's why I try to keep that as much as I can, and it's been a really useful tool to be able to budget that same amount and carry that forward. I mean, we always have these needs, we're always gonna have these equipment needs, so like I said, I'd like to get out of the equipment repair business and strictly into the work business. And
We're getting
getting these
roasted,
things out there.
roasted by state board of accounts with our capital, in our gap reporting, with people not reporting their capital assets and all that,
Yep.
So we always appreciate you. Those questions.
So try to keep that as much as we can, keep that maintained, so I like that, everybody know what's going on.
You want to get rid of items.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think GovDeals is a really useful tool for that, so we have a paper trail for that, anyway, and then you'll have that on there as well. All right, any other questions on local road street? Okay, moving on to NVH. Now, NVH is broken up into 1173 and 1176. 1173 is the restricted fund. We haven't budgeted out of that fund yet. I don't know if we need to, but the way 1176 is broken down, it's broken into Highway 1, which is administration, Highway 2, which is repair and maintenance, and Highway 3, which is reconstruction and construction preservation. And so I budget, basically everything I budget in Highway 3 essentially is 1173. So we can't move 100% of those funds over, but everything that we move over in 1173 comes from Highway 3. I did allow for a 3% increase for my budget just because I have to account for anything to make sure my revenue's balanced. This fund is, highly dependent on fuel tax and that revenue that comes in. They continue to forecast it to go down. So far, it hasn't. It continues to trend up. So I did put that in there just to make sure that we can get budget numbers that would work out. I'll just run through the changes. If we have any questions, we can go over that. $50,000 is I requested on vehicle maintenance and supplies, which is $22,100. Historically, I've had that $30,000, and that was for oil, any vehicle maintenance supplies, so oil or washer fluid or wipers, anything like that, we can get out of that line. I increased that just because of those situations. Gasoline, I am asking for that to increase from $3.20 to $3.50. I have looked through the fuel numbers. Last year we averaged $25,000 a month. Heavier months that we have are anytime we have a snow situation. So this year in particular, January and February were both high months. We were 34,000 in January, which were some of those storms in December of last year, and then 27,000 in February, which had been some of those storms in January. And then it kind of tails off through the summer or through the spring, and we pick back up in the summer when we put it out in the field. But overall, we average about 25,000. Right now, I have $150,000 left in that account with 6 months to go. So as long as fuel prices don't creep up much higher, we should be able to manage that with what we have. Maybe a small increase, I might be able to transfer internally to cover that, without asking for additional appropriation. Just depends on what fuel prices. I don't have a crystal ball to know what that's gonna do the next half of the year. So, if that's the case, I mean, I'm just asking for that increase just to see, obviously, if we don't use it as basement fund. The next line is gonna increase liability insurance. We got that number from Tammy from USI. That's $166,000 this year. It was only $150 last year. So that's the quote that we have. So that's what we're doing. I did increase the education, counseling, and training on highway side to 30,000 from 25. And then everything else, I held the line on everything else. Paving repairs, gravel, stone, bituminous. Those were all historic numbers that we budgeted for every year. Which brings, with the extra, I had included in there, brings the budget to 6.4 million. Running the numbers, right now we have a cash balance of about $5 million, 5.1. And with the revenue, estimated revenue coming in and the budget, total budget, we still have a cash balance of 4.9 million after 27. Shoot into that a little bit, but not terribly. I will let you know, I do have my finger on the pulse of what's going on with that. I track that. Judy sends me receipts every month of what we get from MVH. I compare that to past years to see what it is. So far this year, we are still trending up, although we've had a couple of months that have dipped down. MVH is up 2% on average over the first 5 months. Wheel tax is up 1.4%. Local road streets up 1.3%. I do not know how the tax holiday affects that yet. The distribution this month should be the first month that the excise tax holiday is on there. So I'll evaluate that and see how that goes. And then we'll have to try to plan the budget accordingly if something like that. I will say, I went to conference last week, and the consensus there from somebody from the government finance side, from the governor's office, said that he is pledging to make local entities whole again after this fuel holiday. I don't know what that looks like or where that money comes from, but that is what he's pledged. So that's at least a caveat that we know, even though we might see a dip in revenue, he's going to, give it to us on the back end, maybe in the year or something like that. So, but till that happens, we just have to play with, roll with the numbers when they come in and see what we got to do. The good thing is we do have a cash balance in this fund that we can sustain this for 6 months or so and figure everything out. So if something needs to happen, we have time to adjust and time to react. Any questions on that?
Thank you.
All right.
You guys wanna do jail first or the sheriff's?
I can go through it.
Okay. I know, I'm sorry.
I think you did great.
You should get everything. You guys let us see that.
Good, I guess it's afternoon. Good afternoon. I have, you guys get the emails, but I have some full proposals you guys have to
I'm looking from the booklet. Get a booklet from jail and the sheriff and from EMA.
I have one, so it's back. Thank you.
It was taken back from me.
Thanks.
Yeah, correct. Well, I forgot about that. We had to make a couple tweaks. Okay, you guys ready?
First, just let me say, we're here with heavy hearts today, as I think people in this room probably are aware. We lost one of our reserve deputies yesterday. Harold Osborne passed away early this morning. Yesterday, obviously, I think he's missed if I didn't mention that. He was a reserve deputy with us. He came on in 2019. Was a member of our fire service here within our community for, I'm not sure exactly how many years, but a number of years prior to serving as a reserve deputy. And he was one of those guys that his first night on shift in solo duty, solo patrol, was involved in a shots fired call, and many people would, probably walk away, especially being a volunteer. He stayed on and remained with us for the last 7 or 8 years. So he did a great job with us. Our deputies responded to his residents yesterday and did everything they could, performing life-saving measures, and they were unable to do that, which is obviously unfortunate. But obviously I'm probably biased, but first responders or deputies definitely do a different job than some in our community, and I give them the greatest respect. And Harold, obviously, his impact is felt by us, and will definitely be missed. Kind of getting into the budget here. So I want to touch on just a couple things that are budgetary issues, and then we'll kind of get into the line by line. As always, you guys can jump in or ask any questions you have. Gas, just put on your radar. Everyone knows gas prices are extremely high. There's a big around the fact that we're going to have to probably ask for an appropriation. I wouldn't say probably, we're going to have to ask for an appropriation at some point this year. I cannot give you a precise figure right now. We have about $100,000, I think, in our account. But we're spending right now about $35,000, so you can kind of figure that up. We're probably looking anywhere between 70 and 100,000. We'll probably have to ask at some point this year. If gas prices drop drastically tomorrow, then that's obviously going to change. Which in part of our budget next year, we're asking for an increase due to those gas prices. Again, we never know what gas prices are going to be from one day to the next, but just put that on your radar. It was mentioned in a council meeting yesterday evening about the dish service that we have at the jail. I just want to clarify, I'm not pointing fingers, not blaming anyone, but at the time, the commissioners selected Dish and Joint when we built our new jail and facility. We moved in that facility in 2022. They made that selection. They signed on to make the payments for utilities. That's my knowledge. That's what it's been the last 4 years or so. With that said, we have no problem, looking at other options. If it's logistically makes sense, if it financially makes sense.
Well, we found out you had contract with them to find them.
Yes, right. Yeah, when the time comes, yes, absolutely. We have no problem. We're always open to different options. But I just want to be clear, because the commissary is always mentioned when we paper about commissary. The commissary is not a slush fund. We don't hide money there. It's not a $2 million, $3 million, $4 million account. We have just to pay everything. It's not by statute. It's not intended to pay for entire line items, pay for utilities, and things like that. It's a supplemental fund. On average, every year is different. Those years we've brought in $250,000. There's years we brought in $500,000. Probably say $400,000 is a fairly good average of what we bring in our commissary fund. 2024, we spent $41,000 on vehicle repairs, $31,000 on vehicle upfitting, so our police equipment, lights, sirens, things of that nature. $9,700 on just various other equipment, uniform equipment we use in the sheriff's office. 2025 was similar, but we spent $146,000 on vehicle upfitting with our new vehicle group we got, not taxpayer dollars. We spent $60,000 on equipment, not taxpayer dollars. Every year, our honor guard unit travels to Washington D.C. to honor our fallen. That's around $25,000 or so every year. Paid for out of commissary, it's not taxpayer dollars. Office furniture and lamps and things of that nature. If we host a training, if we host a meeting, it's on a smaller scale, water and coffee and donuts as we like to eat, and, food or lunch or whatever, that's paid for out of our commissary budget. So it's not an endless account that we can just throw money at. We don't have millions and millions sitting in there. So we try to be very fiscally responsible with that account, and I continue to handle the account that way. We just kind of want to throw that out there. Western Police Department, and this is in this proposal. I also understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that the county is going on a hiring freeze or a pay salary freeze for 2027. Obviously, as we do every year, Wage Committee puts together a proposal, withdraw on that, we're not submitting that due to that, out of respect for that hiring freeze, that salary freeze. Obviously, we believe our personnel deserve, an increase, and we deserve, we deserve benefits, things of that nature, but we can't obviously respect the council's decision on what they decide to do. However, out of our control is West Road Police Department. And they reduced their police force years ago. They, I think, had 11 or 12, then reduced to 9, then they reduced to 7, then they reduced to 6, and now they've reduced to 3. That's to my knowledge. It's not a police department, it's a town marshal service now. So they have 3 individuals working, and in theory, they provide us a schedule. It's basically on the weekends, they don't have any coverage. Basically Friday to Monday morning, Monday afternoon, they don't have coverage. If somebody calls in sick or something like that, they probably not have coverage. So there's, say 40% of the time, roughly 30 to 40% of the time, maybe a little bit more some weeks, we're covering their calls. And not only are we covering their calls, which last year they responded to, I think it was 7,000 calls they responded to last year. Now, a couple thousand of those calls are traffic stops, which if they're not making traffic stops, they're not calls for service per se, in terms of us responding once they need backup. But in addition to the reduction in the police force and us responding to calls now, primarily on the weekend, they also helped our deputies. They would back us up when we needed help, especially on the west side. So when they're not there to back us up. So now our units are coming from North Terre Haute or Southern Beagle County or wherever it might be to back our own deputies up, which of course we're going to do. And while we can point fingers at blame about West Terre Haute, how they run the town board or whatever, at the end of the day, as a sheriff, I'm going to provide service for community members in West Terre Haute, Riley, Sealyville, whatever town, whatever location it is. So with that being said, I am asking for 2 additional deputy sheriff's positions. We probably could use 3 or 4, 1 for each shift, and even the argument could be made for a 4th for investigation purposes. But again, understanding the financial issues the county sounds like they're facing, I'll reduce that to 2 with the intentions if we were approved for those positions, we would place them on patrol, obviously, evenings and basically noon, 1 p.m. into the nighttime hours, which are the busiest times of the day. So my concern with not presenting that to you now and bringing that to your attention is if I wait till next year during this time, we're talking June, if it's approved, it's January of 2028 when those positions can be obviously applied. 6 to 12 months for someone to go through training. We're talking 2.5 years from now that we would see relief for that situation that's been thrust upon us. So I feel like it's my responsibility to bring that to your attention and still make that request. Obviously, it's up to the council to determine if they'd like to grant that request or not. Any questions on that? Yes.
My apologies if you already covered it. What's the total cost per deputy by the time we vehicle, insurance, equipment?
It's in here and it is, I can tell you, I want to say it's like 114,000 for salary, but with equipment and everything else, give me 1 second, I'll go here. So basically for 2 personnel, call it 230,000, I rounded up. It's about 140,000 FICA, family plan, salary. So 114,000 a person. Vehicles, obviously we need a couple vehicles, about 130,000, and that includes the vehicle themselves, and again, upfitting. When we say upfitting the vehicle, we're talking about new cages and lights and sirens and equipment. That comes at a cost. So the cars are around 52,000. Equipment's 10 to 15,000. So 130,000. Other equipment. So again, if you're adding 2 more staff, you have to the uniforms, radio, a taser, firearms, computer, etc. For 2 personnel. That's about 20 to 30,000. So grand total, what we're figuring is 488,000 for 2 additional deputies. That covers everything. If there's a few extra thousand, again, we'd be more than happy to do something out of the commissary. Understand that that's going to drop year 2, right? Because we're not paying for new vehicles and new equipment and all that stuff. So at a yearly cost, you're going to reduce by 100,000. Your yearly addition after next year is going to be about 388,000. You're dropping off all the new equipment and everything. So 488 next year, about 380 every year after. That makes sense. I also just, and I'll get back, I also mentioned that's what you're talking about. Let me actually, let me just get that. Any other questions though about the salary or benefits or total cost?
No, I don't think so.
I do have one.
Yes,
Your reserve deputies,
yes.
do you have any of them available to step up in those spots?
With due respect to your question, they do a tremendous amount of workforce now, and there's we can get more work out of them.
I didn't know if you could maybe transition them into the full-time, if
Oh,
this request
oh, I'm
were.
sorry. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
we actually, one of our deputies gone, that's Mr. Stu's question. A couple years ago, we hired a reserve deputy. We hired reserve deputies full-time over the years. We've hired, a handful over the years. Whether they're interested to be a full-time, I don't know, because some of them are firemen and they have other jobs, they may not be interested. But we absolutely look at them and we allow them to apply. Obviously, if they were to, I have actually a reserve deputy right now, they're getting ready to hire to fill it, I know what you have. And you won't have to be trained any further. Other than if they don't have the academy, then obviously they have to go to the law enforcement academy. So it's a possibility, yes.
I'll ask a question to the auditor's office, because I keep meaning to ask, so I might as well ask it now. Are we currently providing any funds to West Terre Haute to help offset some of their expenses to where, specifically towards their first responders, to where we might be able to withhold some of that and put it towards this?
I think they get, the town gets, funding, from LIT, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I think their board pretty much, through their own means, funds their own.
They do receive public safety lit by
Yes.
statute.
Yeah.
They're required as a municipality. Town of Riley received public safety lit. Cedarville gets it, and it's calculated by a state formula to determine their value.
Correct.
So based on what you're saying and what I think you're saying, we would not have the right to say, hey, let's reallocate some of those resources.
Nope, the state said that.
All right, sorry.
Okay, page 1 on my document here, and then if I'm out of line, if you guys want me to jump something else, so be it. The first part is retirement, pension plan. This is something in the documents attached to the back. Again, every year we present this, obviously, as our pension fund, and your Korean King sets the value of what the county is responsible for. Just as a brief reminder, we do collect process service, and there's some other funds that come in to help offset those costs. McCready King, they basically get 3 numbers. One is accelerated cost, I guess more protection, so to speak. One is their recommended, and then 2 is like the minimum. But if you do the minimum years ago, like the county, kind of got in the bind, they did minimum for multiple years, 5, 6, 7 years, and then it pays some huge lump sum. We're talking 15, 16 years ago. So it's recommended that you do the recommended amount, if not the accelerated. So based on the recommended amount, it's 1.5 million and some change, minus what we anticipate we'll receive process service. Again, that is a guessing game because every year is different process service. So that could be off by 10 or 20,000 or so. But by our rough estimates, we are asking for $1,359,377 for our pension fund. Again, that document from the Korean King's on attached here. You'd like to click that at some point. Deputy overtime, obviously salaries increased last year, and again, law enforcement and public safety, detectives get called out on cases we can't control. That every year is different with overtime as well. We are asking for a $10,000 increase with deputy overtime to help cover the additional salary increase from last year. Moving on to office supplies and other supplies, we're not asking for any increase in either one of those areas. Again, obviously, we know things have jumped up in price, as I heard get spoke about earlier, whether it be oil or pins or whatever it is. Things are jumping up in price, but we're trying to not ask for additions just because of that in each and every category. Again, something that our commissary account can assist with at times for a couple $1,000 here and there. Animal control supplies, same thing. We're not asking for an increase. Gasoline, as I mentioned, it's out of our control in terms of the gas prices. So we're asking for an additional $80,000 for 2027. Obviously, if we don't use those funds, then we don't use them. But not understanding what the gas prices are gonna be in June 2027. It's hard to give a good estimate, but we're basing that kind of on what we think we're gonna be at the end of this year. Contractual services, there's two significant costs here that are increasing. The first is taser replacement, which that's already been signed or at least expired earlier this year. And again, we paid for the additional $20,000 to $24,000 out of our commissary account to fund that cost. But tasers prices go up just like everything else, and we have added a few more deputies over the last 5 years since we signed this initial lease or initial contract. So the additional cost to that is $24,000. People on, I guess, I think that's something that the county should pay for. I don't think the commissary account should have to supplement the cost for tasers. Something that's highly utilized our agency for many years. So that's a $24,000 request. Everything else pretty much stays in line with contractual other than body cameras. Again, that's something where our lease is coming up. It's a 5-year lease. We did look at some other options. Right now we have utility, Axon we looked at, Motorola we looked at. Axon, which is a great service from what we understand, is almost double the price. So we're going to have to change there. There are options. The last council 5 years ago chose to pay the full price up front, which at the time I think was around $550,000 if I remember correctly. Now it's $760,000, but you can do an annual payment as well. So if you choose to do the $760 and get it done and over with, take that option. If not, then obviously the payments would be at $152,000 a year for 5 years, and that would be the increase. So that, depending on what's done, you could do a 3-year plan if you wanted to as well, that at 4 or 5. Again, not that everyone doesn't understand this, but body cameras is something that is highly beneficial. It keeps honesty on both sides of the camera. It's something that you get complaints obviously on occasion, and 99% of the time are definitely proven to be in the right. When they're not, we address those issues. So it's something, it helps with lawsuits and things that interest you. I think it's definitely a product we have to keep at this point, and it does come at a cost, obviously. That quote is in here for it. School liaison program, not asking for an increase there. Repair of equipment, again, something we could definitely ask for an increase, but trying to be fiscally responsible here. We're not asking for an increase there. Vehicle repairs, again, as I mentioned, everything about oil filters, wiper blades, brakes. It doesn't matter what you're paying for, you're paying more. We're asking for an additional, I made an error here. 2026 requested funding increase should be $25,000 increase. It was 90 for 2026. The total is correct, 115,000. And that's vehicle repairs for our jail vehicles that we're driving back and forth to court every day, and, driving around to transport evidence to different counties. Obviously for deputies, fleet, patrol, or pool vehicles. So we're asking for an increase there. As I mentioned to you at the beginning of this presentation, our commissary accounts, paying anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 every year. It's in the world, we got to pay 5 or 10, but I don't think we should be pulling $50,000 from the commissary account to pay for repairs. Service agreements, not asking for any increase there. Last year, Jeff Fox here submitted a very detailed plan for the 3-year plan, and that was approved. So we're pretty much in line with those. A couple of contracts that expired that I mentioned. Personal protection equipment, that's our body armor, which obviously the council is required by law to provide. Just to tell you, we're requesting $18,000. I do not anticipate spending $18,000 because we replaced a majority of them last year. That's some big number, I understand that, but we're probably going to spend somewhere in the ballpark of 8 to 10, maybe. Is that right, Jim? Roughly, that's our expected added cost. So not a huge savings, but you're probably going to get $8 or $10,000 back on that. Vehicles. This is something that we've talked about. I talked about different council members over the years. Sure, police department does this. I know Council President Ellis yesterday, the day before. So right now we have that $206,000 line up, and it's 5 years. It's an annual payment of 5 years. It got us basically 25 new fleet vehicles last year. We have over 80 vehicles in our fleet, again, counting everything, our jail vehicles, every vehicle we have. So with that being said, some of our vehicles are 2016s, 18s. administrative staff driving 2019 vehicles, not complaining about I have a vehicle. But it's not like we're just running graded vehicles, intake, we're trying to push them out to the patrol division primarily. But it's hard to wait 5 years to get 25 vehicles. And again, vehicles are not cheap. And I know I've heard that, you get Tahoes. Well, Chevy sells about 115,000 Tahoes a year, about 50% of that goes to government. There's, 17, 18, 20,000 Tahoes that are sold to police departments throughout the country every year. We're not the only one that gets them. And you have limited options where you can get your police vehicles or what type of police vehicles you can get. So with that being said, what I would like to do is create, I'm not sure how would BPW within the auditor's office, whether it be a separate line item or whatever. But so every 5 years, so in 2026 and 2031 and 2036, we get that 260,000, those 25 roughly vehicles. But in the middle of that, 2027, 2020, 2032, or 2028, I'm sorry, 2033, in the middle of those 5 years, I'm asking for 60,000 to be able to get, again, it'd be a 5 year, thing that kind of goes in the middle. So I'm asking to get, or asking for 60,000 to be able to get maybe 6 more vehicles. So our vehicles are not just, getting old and, put a lot of miles on them, so your repair costs and things like that go up. Again, that's something that City Police Department does. Giving credit to Chris Hughes, it's only an idea from them, but I think it's a great idea. So I'm making that request. New equipment, not asking for any additional funding there. System hardware, same thing. I was planning to do last year, not asking for any additional funding there. Radio equipment, this is our, our portable radios we use, carry on as we're working. I'm asking for a $10,000 increase there. Again, we had radios that we had, they're end of life, they're approaching end of life, basically. So a new radio is about $6,500. We signed a plan that's $65,000. I think it's over 7. It's in there. I think it's over 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. $65,000. 55,000 is what we have right now. And again, we'll pay for out of commissary if we actually have to. That middle that account once again. In my opinion, I think that the county should be responsible for paying for radios that we use on a daily basis. So we're asking for a $10,000 increase there to take that to $65,000. The training fund, $25,000. Not asking for any additional funding there. And then on page 7, it's what I've already discussed with you guys. Again, we had our wage committee put together what I felt like was a very good plan with salary increases, front office personnel, we wanted to ask for a social worker position similar to our police department for mental health in the community, those carry position due to the out of court, operations salary increases, among others. But again, I realize I can't control what the council does in terms of a hiring freeze or pay increase, but I still think it's vital that I brought the additional merit deputies to you because of the West Railroad situation. So with that being said, like I said, there's a couple quotes back there for body cams and the 4.2, 3, 4s, along with McCready and King pension plan that I spoke to you about. So from the front office, business office side, that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Good. Maybe just give a quick recap. Vicky's the chair. So
yeah,
he basically, they pulled any requests that they had initially for new positions and or increase in pay. But due to the situation in West Terre Haute, they've asked that we help them be able to cover that area.
They just, quick numbers. West Terre Haute responds about, takeaway traffic stops about 5,000 calls a year. They have coverage now 50, 60% of the time, so we're covering the rest. Also, when they're not there, instead of them backing us up on the west side, we're bringing deputies from other parts of the county to assist. I think we could probably easily use 3 or 4 deputies to put one each shift, maybe one for investigations, but our request is 2. And my fear is that if we don't ask for it now, we're waiting 2.5 years for next year and then training and everything else, that we have no relief.
How's that working out?
It's been, it's only been like 3 weeks. So, we don't have a lot of data, so to speak. But there's been some
Do you get calls?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. We're responding to calls every day over there. Some days it may be 2 or 3, some days it may be more. Some calls again. The other day we had a call with 4 deputies or 5 deputies that had to respond because it was a serious call. So that everyone in the county is at West Terre Haute, and nothing against West Terre Haute, but it's a service we have to
It is
provide.
what it is, I get that, yeah.
Hey, Derek, I have a quick question.
Yes,
Trying to read your pamphlet.
Yep.
We've got 760,000 for body cams, under body cams.
Mhm.
But then in the public safety, we have 720,000.
yes, I needed to change that to it's 760. I needed to change that to 760. My
But it's
apologies.
not included in your contractual, it is included in the 1 million.
I think I put that on both those forms because on your forms, I think it's listed on both, so I just put it on both. It's listed on the form, I don't remember that. It's
So
on
the
form.
1.1.
That's with the body.
Including, so we can subtract that
Yes.
760 out of that, okay.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Yes, she brought up a good point. I mentioned this to the council last week. This is a reminder. We will have it, we're gonna have, I meant for those who were present. Due to a federal law that came into place with jail phone calls, no longer charged, 21 cents is what we're charged now, it's 11, if I remember right. So basically it's half, which means that we expect to lose next year. So I think we figure like $50,000 or $60,000 a year out of our commissary spend yet. So we're trying to find ways to, increase our commissary revenue, within legal means, obviously. But 50 to 60,000 is our expected loss right now.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
Think about a bake sale.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about pizza and all kinds, we're talking all kinds of stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys need the jail packet, or did you guys?
I did print it. One second.
Oh, printed for everyone?
I did. Well, I was on one out of two.
Are you guys ready for me to give you a few more minutes to get?
You're good.
Okay. I'm just gonna start at the top of the list with our institutional supplies. We are requesting 150,000, which was what we requested the last several years, so that's adequate, no increase there. Food, we are requesting a slight increase to keep up with the increased costs as well as our increase in population. It wasn't a huge increase, I think it was maybe $20,000, right around there. It just helps us because every so often we'll get in a shortfall at the end of the year. And so then we start the next year, we're able to pay, but then the shortfall becomes more and more. So it's just kind of with the increase of food costs, which we don't typically get until December. So we've already came and asked you for our budget for the following year, with what we can best calculate. But it's, even though we calculate on the high side, it usually is more than what we were expecting. Contractual services, this is a pretty large increase to 225,000. This is to be able to get body cameras for inside the jail. We met with our insurance carrier and they really encouraged it, and as well as our legal counsel has said it would be a good idea. We do have body cameras currently. We don't wear them. These are about 7 years old now. We wear them in certain situations. We wear them during like disciplinary hearings, or if we are, if there's going to be a male officer transporting a female and those are the types of times that we wear them, or if we have somebody that's like being difficult on a hospital detail, we'll put those body cameras on them, but we don't have enough to outfit the whole entire facility. So that is the reason for the increase.
They want you to wear them all the time.
Yep, we would put a policy in place similar to what the sheriff's office on the sheriff's side has, and our staff would have those on at all times.
Maybe will you be buying with this?
Well, we have 80 full-time officers, and we have a little more than, 12 part-time, but that could also increase.
You got about 100, so how many things you buy? You have to buy all new ones?
We wouldn't have to buy 100 because we would have a charging dock for them.
For shift changes.
For shift changes.
Everyone
we
would
have
have
to-
a body camera.
Yeah, we would have to allow them to charge sufficiently in between shifts.
So this 225,000, is that just for them or is it for other contractual?
That'll also cover our other contractual. I think our contractual this year was 90,000. So this increase, like 90,000 was sufficient for us. This increase to this would be to get the new body cameras.
Same system that the deputies are using?
we're kind of searching around, we're talking to other jails, it just is a little bit different. I mean, body cams are body cams, what most people think, but like how they're used inside the jail and how they're stored and how long they're worn, because really when you're working, you're gonna have it on for a full 8 hours. So we're kind of exploring those options, talking to other facilities and seeing how they like theirs and getting some quotes. All right, contractual services other, this is where we pay all of our medical items out of. We are asking for an increase of 200,000 this year. So when we went with our new company, they do bill scrubbing for us. And so we had 247 medical bills last year that totaled almost $53,000. And our medical company, at no cost to us, got those scrubbed down to $37,755. So with obviously the amount of bills that I have coming in, this company has hired an additional person to do bill scrubbing full time for them to get us. So they saved us over $1 million, which is obviously awesome. However, they've had to hire additional staff to do this, so they need to be able to recoup some money. A lot of the companies do a percentage. So when they bill scrub down, they take a percentage of what they saved you, which obviously taking 10 or 12% on what they would have saved us would have been an astronomical number. Our company is going to do a flat rate per bill that they're scrubbing. And I mean, numbers have been thrown around anywhere from like $200 to $300 for each bill, which would still be cheaper than what the other companies are doing and how much money they're making off of bill scrubbing. We are also, the other reason for the ask increase is our medical, we'd like to hire another nurse. So our practice in years past has been when somebody's arrested and brought into pre-booking, if they are coming straight from the hospital, we call the nurse down to immediately examine them and make sure that there's cleared for custody. Or if the arrestee is complaining of any medical issues, our medical will come down and see them. Or if our jail staff feels that they need to be checked out by medical before they accept them into our custody. And this year we've made the decision that every single person that comes into our facility needs to be checked by medical.
So obviously it's no secret that we've had, a couple issues in the jail, and I want to make sure that everyone that's being brought into the jail, whether they're in the hospital or not, being looked after on that staff. And we paid this company a significant amount, and I think they're doing a great job for us. But I think it's important to save the county money in the long run, that every person comes in and is evaluated by certified medical personnel. So that's why we implemented this, again, to save money in the long run to the county if possible.
So this is gonna come out of contractual other, so it's not gonna be an employee of the county, it's gonna be a contractual.
It's through the medical provider.
And that's where all of our bills are paid for medicals, contractual services other.
They do everything already, it's
Yeah.
just adding an additional person
Oh,
to,
okay,
so
yeah.
because we're putting a significant
Through
amount
the
of workload
company.
on them.
Okay.
Yeah, we need another person to do that,
I mean, there's been a lot of times that we've, you look at somebody, you hear that they're fine, we put them in, 30 minutes after we put them in, they have high blood pressure, we're taking them to the hospital. So then we're transporting them, we're having the staff overtime to get them there, and then we're getting those medical bills. So it just kind of makes a lot more sense to have somebody that can be dedicated to always going down there and looking at staff, or at the inmates coming in, but also keeping an eye on the rest of the inmates in our facility.
And we book in, around, like last year, we booked, it was over 4,000 people. We booked in last year, I want to say like 4,500. So it's not like it's, you put in plenty of people to be looked at.
Any questions on that?
So the total difference for contractual services, I guess, is it going from a little over 1 million to a little over 2 million?
I think we were at 2 million this year.
Yeah, we were at 2
We were at
million.
2 million this year, and we're just asking for an additional 200,000 for next year.
And that takes care of that extra.
And bill scrubbing.
Got both, yeah.
They'll take care of both.
So while it is 200,000, again, we're probably saving by doing this, probably 700,000 to $1 million in the county here. And not counting digital losses, we're saving that as well.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Education and counseling, 2,500, we're not asking for an increase in that. Staff training is 15,000, we're not asking for an increase in that.
Repair to equipment, we are requesting an increase in this. The kitchen equipment, our overhead, like Sally Port garage doors and our laundry equipment are eating up our repair to equipment. We have to have the overhead doors working to get the inmates in and out of the facility. We gotta be able to wash and their clothes, and we've got to be able to wash the dishes coming back to the kitchen. So we are asking for an additional appropriation from last year in that.
Is that 40,000?
Yep, we're asking for 40,000.
It was at 25,000 last year.
I apologize, my attention was focused somewhere else for a second. Does that include, are you guys having issues with your dishwasher?
Yeah, and we're actually, so I'm gonna ask for, right now we're asking for 25,000 in equipment new, which is a couple line items down.
Okay.
We might come back for an appropriation, I can fill you in on that, but essentially our dishwasher is not getting up to temperature. They thought they could put a booster on it to make it hot enough to pass the health department standards to wash all the inmate trays and spoons coming through and cups. It's not, so we've been having all of the dishes be hand washed 3 times a day. And to repair our current machine is $15,000, which we've had nothing but issues with since moving in. To buy a brand new one is $25,000. So we are asking next year for an additional $25,000 to get a new dish machine. But depending on kind of how the year goes, we might come back in and ask for it, and then we wouldn't need that additional $25,000 next year if we end up making a request later this year to get a new dishwasher.
Why would you not ask for it now?
I think we were just kind of seeing like.
We can.
What the market's gonna bear?
Yeah. So we have this big dish machine that we don't even run because it's not up to temperature.
Wouldn't it be more reasonable to just let your people not have to wash all those?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Or just for it?
Ask for it, Casey, say, can we have a dishwasher for 25,000?
Yeah, so we have a dishwasher for 25,000 this year.
Makes sense to me. I mean, what the heck?
I mean, we can come ask the council for it. We just didn't.
You know what, well, they're back asking for another $25,000.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a little bit of the concern too was obviously we asked for this for 2027, great, we get it in January. But we're also wondering if we should ask for it like in August or before that with an appropriation to get it before January. But we're definitely gonna need to ask
Just
for it.
sneaking around, I'd ask for the stinking money.
I tend to agree with you on this. I think it should be right.
Then we know we've got to
Budget,
spend it.
I would put it in the budget if I were you. I'm looking at all of you right here, but you make a good point with the health department.
Yeah, we are getting dinged. I mean,
You got all
as soon as our
your
hand washing.
people
we're
washing
getting dinged.
dishes, and that's,
That is an issue and
and you're wasting manpower.
How old is the current?
Since we moved in,
Since we
4
moved in.
years. Say a lot of the equipment that was like, just not good equipment.
So something that we discussed in an earlier meeting with another department, I don't remember what it was, when you're, and I know you guys are smart enough to do this, but I want to say it anyway, when you're calling and negotiating for a new dishwasher, before we spend the money, that's when you have the ability to negotiate a little more. If we can get them to cover like some sort of an extended warranty so that we're not paying $15,000
Every
a
4
year down the
years,
road or
yeah.
2 years down the road. There's a way to get an extended warranty on that up front. I don't know, maybe there's not.
To be completely honest with you, the equipment that was placed in the laundry room and in the kitchen can't keep up with what we do. Like I mean, we're cooking 3 meals a day for not only our facility, but juvenile facility, community corrections. I mean, that kitchen's getting a lot of use, and what they put in there, what we had down at the old jail, we actually brought some of the equipment that we could to use it, that we don't ever have to pay for repairs on, that's 10 years old compared to what they put in brand new. And when we kind of raised a concern about it, they said it wasn't our choice.
Some that's just put out there, some things were not our decision when we moved to the new facility. Well, sure, just now we're facing those problems we had in the last couple of years. But if we can, if we're allowed, we'll make
I
a
do
verbal
not
request now and we
for
can adjust it, if that's okay with you guys, we can adjust the document.
Okay, then we'll make the.
What's required of us, to make sure we do it appropriately to put that in here.
Have you, I'm just asking out loud here, have you bid any of that out? I mean, do you have, I know you have a specific, request, for a certain piece of equipment, but have you looked at other options, price wise?
We have been we have received some quotes. I'm not sure if it's 2 or if it's 3, but we can get additional.
I agree with quality.
Yeah.
I do.
Cheap is not good under these.
I was
And
the
like
manager at
Steven
HX
said,
Greg, and I know the difference.
Yeah.
and they want to sell it to you, like Steve says, go for that, the warranty.
So what do we need to do moving forward to make the request?
I would probably get 3 quotes of some sort with, warranty options and present that to the budget committee.
And just throw a figure in there just to fill in the blank and then come back with a real figure.
Okay. So I know we kind of talked about repaired equipment. Are we good on that? We jumped down to new equipment, so we've covered both of those. Are we? So obviously the new equipment, if we're gonna make this request this year for a new dishwasher, the new equipment line item will be less than the 65,000. Vehicles, we are asking for 65,000, which is an increase from last year. We had requested, I believe, 60 or 80,000 last year, and it was, 80,000, and we were given $0 for any new vehicles. So
So just to give you an idea of that, sorry, keep jumping, commissary. We were paying about $22,000 out of our commissary account to put cages into our transport vans. So again, account dwindles, but we were given $0 last year for jail vehicles, which is absolutely
much.
not okay. We prefer our job transporting inmates and have to have vehicles, we have to have money in that account to keep those vehicles running.
And also, with that being said, we have some minivans that we use that are in county only. We would love not to use them, but with as much transporting as we're doing to courts and our increased inmates and how many doctor's appointments and transports and all of the things that we're doing, unfortunately, we can't retire these vans, so we call them in-county only vans. That way, if they break down with inmates, then we're right here to go get them. But we can't even retire them because even when we do get money to buy 2 new vans, it's just, we are having a hard time keeping up. I mean, there's a lot of days that the courts will call and say, we need this person, and we say, we have no vehicles right now, because every single vehicle we have is on a transport or already in the courthouse.
Call Larry, he'll come get them.
Absolutely. Any questions about vehicles?
Did you do the care of inmates? Did you skip that one?
Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry. When we jumped down, I did. So care patients and inmates, we're requesting, it's the same as last year, 670,000, and that is a lit. That's where it comes out of currently. And right now, as I checked before I came over here, we have 356 inmates in our in-house, and we have 24 temped out to other counties.
How many?
24 temped out to other counties. The other counties obviously kind of let us know, hey, we're starting to get full, you gotta come back and get your inmates. So that's kind of where we're at with it. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, our count was up in the 380s, which is well over our 80% capacity that we're supposed to be at. But we're also at the mercy of the surrounding counties that have the additional room to house our inmates for us. Last one, Locks Audio and Video, same amount as last year, $30,000, and that comes out of the lit fund as well.
Like normal advertising.
Yeah.
They want everything.
Does anybody have any other questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, everybody.
Did you
Are
all
we
have
adjourned
fun?
for the moment?
Did you all have fun? So much for coming.
County government.
Well, I don't know about the rest, I don't know about everyone else. I don't know what else you guys have.
Nice work, man. Obviously, very,
Kristen, here is Scott.
See you all. Thank you very much.
She is, you see, is he coming back? I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's
Give me 1 second, I'm texting Justin to come down.
Yeah, jail costs a lot of money, doesn't it? Gotta keep them, gotta pay for it.
You know,
People just wouldn't commit crimes in jail. Just how miserable people are when they do that, when they get caught, and then they get put in jail, and then they get in
I will
trouble.
be honest, I have no idea what's going on, so I'm trying to catch up.
It's not good. You all better run out and teach your life to eat or do whatever, get out here and mow. My grandma used to say, go blow the flies off of you. Yeah.
You can just see Chris's stove in there.
See, I started. Judy, I got a different
I never did get anything from,
Judy, I want to commend you on how brilliant you are and all this. You're so good.
I'm
Don't
to
shake
press
your
the
head
end
no,
string.
you don't know. Yes, you are. And you are terrific. Well, you are really, you're just terrific.
And Dan and I think do a great job.
Oh, definitely.